Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Hey, thank you so much for being here. If this is your very first time here, my name is FiddlinJonny and it's my fiddle channel and magic product review. And before I do any magic product review, I always do a quick fiddle tune. So sit back and enjoy. I'm going to read it a little bit so I won't be looking right at you. Hope you enjoy. This is called Green Fields of France. All right, there you go. The Green Fields of France goes on much longer. It's such a lovely tune. If you're not familiar with it, maybe I'll put a link to the version down below, but well worth checking out and listening to. Any rate, I'm glad you're here because I have an interesting take today on a review. I'm reviewing the shell game. It's put together by Mai Bro and released through TCC Magic. I'm going to share what my experience is with this product. I hope it's helpful for you, so stick around and we'll get right into it. Okay, let's do this review. It is the shell game and it's manufactured by Mai Bro and released through TCC Magic. Okay, so let me be blunt with you here. So this was sent to me by TCC Magic. And every now and then you get products that are sent to you and you love them. And every now and then you get products sent to you that you go like, oh, geez, I'm not too sure about this one. That's how I felt about this one. And let me give you some history. So I think the three shell game, for me at least as an experience, was something that I learned as a kid very early on in Magic with some sort of usually plastic fake walnut shells and fake green peas. At least that was my experience. And I probably had it in multiple versions as a kid and it was okay, but wasn't something I totally gravitated towards. So when I received this, I knew it was a nice looking product. But I'm not going to really like this probably that much, and it's going to be difficult to do a review when you don't like it and it's been sent to you. But you know, I just want to be straightforward with you and what my experience is. I was so pleasantly surprised by this and found myself falling in love again with the three shell game routine, and this is just a beautiful product. And I'm not saying it because it was sent to me for free to do as a review. To be honest, felt like I just didn't want to do the review of this one because I didn't think I was really going to like it, quite frankly. Not my sort of effect that I would do. And boy, howdy was I wrong. So for those of you who don't know what the shell game is, historically it was done with walnuts, or at least that's my experience, like with walnut shells, with a pea placed underneath it, very similar to three-card Monte. You would put a pea underneath the shell and you'd move around the shells and you're supposed to like keep an eye on it and you would bet money on which shell the pea was under. And of course, the spectator would always lose. And there's been multiple variations of this done with multiple different objects over the years. This one is done with a turtle shell or tortoise shell, and done in brass. And wow, it's beautiful. And they provide for you these 2 different colored types of peas or balls that you use for this routine. So basically, what's unique about this, it is still the 3-shell routine, except for it does include or add the element of a color changing ball to it. So let's get a little bit into this in terms of, first of all, what do you get? So let me just open this for you. And you are going to get these 3 shells. Now I'm going to bring it up close to the camera here in a second so that you can all see it. So you're going to get these 3 turtle or tortoise shells. They are made from pure brass, and they're polished and look really nice. You're also going to get, in a little bag here, you're going to get 5 little yellow silicone balls or peas, and you're going to get 3 red cotton ball or made out of cotton type balls. You're also going to get a Vimeo tutorial that is 21 minutes in length. So let's talk about how are the instructions. And I think this is where I became sold, which is ironic because I often diss a little bit on TCC for their tutorials because I often think, oh, they're not the greatest. Totally wrong on this one. It's not without some sort of stuff like, oh, that could have been better. But the tutorial was really good. I don't know who did the tutorial because you never see the face of the person. I don't know if it's Mai Bro or someone from TCC Magic. Doesn't really matter. In the 21 minutes, you get a focus on almost all on technique and multiple techniques for stealing and moving the pea or ball underneath each of the different shells. And it goes into pretty great detail on how to do that in the 21 minutes. I found the different techniques helpful, more in depth than what I've had probably historically, and easy to do. So I know some of you will care about that part of it, but pretty damn easy. Some of them are a little bit, I would say it's a little bit knacky at first, but with just a minimal amount of practice, you will get what works for you. In fact, I found that like when you do a steal and I move or push one of the shells a little slow, it doesn't work. If I push it faster, it works much better. And I just sort of had to play around with sort of the movements to get it down so it looked like really smooth for myself. So it's shot really nicely. My one criticism on this, while it does include a single routine, I felt like the routine overall was almost an add-on because most of it focuses on technique, which is important and really good. I think I would have liked a more fuller, fleshed out routine. It's not that it was bad or not good, but it felt like, okay, now here's a routine now that you know the technique. And the truth is, if you've ever done the 3-shell game, you know that you can create a presentation that works for you. So I think that's what they've done here is they put together all the different techniques for stealing and moving the piece without it being noticed by your spectator. And then you can come up with putting together a routine and pattern that's going to work really good for you. And I think anyone who's working at this level understands that you have that skill set and understanding to do that. But I would think for someone who's a little bit newer, they probably would have liked maybe a little bit more fleshed out like routine or maybe a couple different presentation routines on how to do it. The instructions are done in English, easy to follow, and really good. So let's talk about the gimmick. Not really a gimmick, it's really truly a prop. Here's what I would say about the prop. They are freaking beautiful. You can go to the webpage and get like, how heavy they are. I think they're 53 grams in weight. They're solid brass with a nice antique polish put onto them. They feel freaking great. I think of these fall into a category of what I would call an heirloom prop of magic, that they're so nice and so durable that they're the type of prop you would pass on after your death. Not to get grim or dark, but they're an heirloom. Like, they're really beautiful. They're also the type of thing that I think for someone who's a collector, man, you can proudly put these up on a shelf and have them visible, and they're just really nice to look at, even though people may not even know exactly what they are. So these will last several lifetimes. They look professional. If you want to use these in a professional gig, they are the highest level quality, and they scream, you are a professional magician. Let me go a little bit into some of the downside of these. Well, before I go into the downside, let me bring some of these up. All right, I hope you can see that well. This is the shell. It's essentially designed to look like a turtle shell or a tortoise shell. Again, it's brass. There are no magnets as part of this. If you're familiar like with the cups and balls and you're new to the shells, there's no magnets or anything in this. These are designed to look like a real turtle shell. They're all identical in look, and they have a bit of girth or weight to them. There's a third one. I'm just showing you two of them here. Let me show up close as well the little balls. These are cotton, the red ones, and the yellow ones are made of a silicone. So that's what they look like. Let me go a little bit into sort of a little bit of a downside, or what I think some folks might think of as a downside from a prop perspective. Because these are so beautiful and made out of brass, they're a little bit heavier than what most people might be used to when doing a 3-shell routine. I know for myself, and I know others have done like walnuts, and that's mostly my history is done with walnuts, and people have done them with real walnuts, or walnuts made out of plastic, or sometimes 3D printed. And they're a little lighter, so sometimes they're a little easier to pick up. It may take a little bit of practice for some as you're doing a specific type of steel to lift them up. And I say that it's only true, I think, with one of the steels. With the other steels, I didn't have any problem sort of lifting up or stealing it out. I found that when I was first practicing and gripping it with sort of hiding one of the P's, it was a little hard to hold on to. But with a little bit of practice, I was able to overcome it. I do want to mention it because that might be an issue that some people say, well, I wish you had said that, like, because I struggle like lifting it up when I do the specific steel. I just think with a little more practice, you'll get it. Also, I would add, like, if you have dry hands, it's probably a little bit better. If you have oily hands, a little more challenging because it can be a little slippery. They do talk in the tutorial about keeping your hands nice and clean so they're not greasy, that type of thing. They also talk about keeping these little silicone balls nice and clean because it works more effectively if they're nice and clean. So just keep them clean and it'll be fine. But I couldn't say enough nice things about how beautiful these shells are. It says that they're made from solid brass. They're electroplated surface with a hand-aged and polished to give it an antique look. Now I'm pulling that directly from the ad copy, but for me it tracks. Yeah, seems true. Feel great. Let me talk about so they provide like 5 silicone balls and 3 red balls. You only need 3 silicone balls for any of your routines and maximum of the 3 red balls. They are simply extras for you in case maybe you'll lose some of them. So it's nice that you've got, in essence, some extra balls there if you want to. So you would probably use up to a maximum of 3 balls at a time. I mentioned that you need to keep them clean so that they work more effectively. Let's talk about what is the skill level. I think this falls into advanced beginner. Although it's technically, I think, beginner, I'll just call it advanced beginner. But if you're starting out in Magic, I still think it would be fine for you to make a purchase of this as part of your Magic journey, and you'll be happy even if it might take a little bit more work and your presentation might take a little bit more work as opposed to if you're more experienced. But it is definitely a beginner level sort of skill set. And one of the reasons that it's included variations of it in kid sets, or at least that was my experience growing up. I think for me, as it comes down to skill level, I think of a lot of it just comes down to practicing your choreography. I know that as I was practicing this, at first I just looked clumsy, even though I'm getting a steal and returning it. It just needed a practice in choreography and getting the fluidity of it down. And then once you have it down, eventually you build up a muscle memory and you no longer have to think about it. You're able to do it automatic with it looking completely natural without any sort of extra moves where you go like, why did that make that move? That's not a natural move. And they do discuss that in the tutorial, which I really appreciate. So let me add, like, normally I might talk about the pros and cons. I'll just talk about things I think you should know. I first started off going like, this really only works best on a performance pad because that's how I was practicing it. Now I know in the ad copy it says you can do this on any surface, and I thought that's not probably really true. I really like it on this performance pad. But then, you know, I went out and I really used it on multiple different surfaces. And I found that it worked fine on a regular table with no tablecloth, wooden table. Found it worked fine on a plastic tablecloth. Worked fine on a nice white linen tablecloth. I practiced with it on a marble surface. Ended up having no problem. So it sort of went against what my initial gut was like, no, this is really only on a performance pad. So I think I say that so that you know that if you work in very diverse sort of situations on different performance stages, it works on all of them. I didn't have any problem. Suppose if you're working on concrete, maybe it wouldn't work. But I found basically any flat surface, it worked just fine. I could go on and on about how much I love these. I think they're just a beautiful prop. And if you like the 3-shell routine and you're looking for one, you'll like this. It's that straightforward. And it'll last a lifetime and is an heirloom piece. I think the folks who are going to like this are performers who love the classics of magic. I think if you're a street performer or busker and you use a surface that you use, it could be great for busking on the streets. Sort of like a variation to the 3-card Monty. Close-up magicians will like this, and I think folks who are prop collectors will like it as well. Now the cost of this in the United States is $60, and I think for something that is an heirloom piece, a very reasonable price. So you can also, though, which reminds me, because I sometimes forget this, I have one of those discount codes at TCC Magic, which is FiddlinJonny. And if you put in my discount code, FiddlinJonny, you will get a discount. And I'm not always sure if it's applied to every single purchase, but when you go there and you have a promo code, just put it in. You will get a discount of, I think, up to 15%. Do I get some kickback on the back end? Yes, I do. It's usually something like, I think, $1 for every $100 or $10. It's not much. It's insignificant. What I care about is that you get the discount. So I think over time, as people have used it, I've got a total of $10. So I'm clearly becoming rich off of the promo code. But I want you to get the discount. So go ahead and use it at TCC Magic. All right, that's it. If you have this set or a different set, tell me your thoughts on it and share that with the community. Share your thoughts on cost and what you think about cost. I know $60. Some folks might go like, oh, that's a bit much. But for something that's heirloom quality, I think it's a reasonable price. Also make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you have not yet done so. It's free to do so, and I appreciate it. All right, thank you everyone for being here. I hope this was a helpful review. I'm FiddlinJonny, and remember to keep fiddling around with your magic. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.